Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Gray Man Prepping. It is time for Survival Saturday, and tonight's topic is dun, da, 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 After the Super Wildfire. What are your plans? So, warning: possible fantasy fair porn clay drinking zone ahead. Wait a minute. But then, maybe not. How's everybody doing out there? All righty. All right. We got a bunch more people came in here. We got 12 people in here watching so far. Welcome, everybody. Of all the events I've been doing, after this event, what are your plans after that? This is the most realistic that is not a fantasy one. It has happened before, and it will happen again. And so first, let me get over here and say hi to everybody who's been making comments. So the first one in tonight was the Aquatic News Network, followed by Tammy of Rebel Canners. Then, and everybody's talking back and forth here. So then Jay came in. Then Diana too. Kaylin Strain is here. Frenchie Sandy's in the house. And like Jay says, pretty much happens every to one degree or another. Not as severe as what we're going to be talking about tonight. And got some pretty severe ones coming up here talking about what's going to be going on. And we're going to talk about, of course, mediation and recovery and everything else on it to help you survive this type of an event. All right. Okay, yeah, I get it. I used to start making videos like Excellent. All righty. So let's bring up the slideshow here. All right, so causes for super wildfires. Man-made on purpose. Yes, this one has accounted for quite a few really nasty wildfires over the years. A lot more recently, and in California, they were blaming some of the big wildfires years back. When I say years back, I'm talking about in the last 10 years, 15 years. And they were blaming a lot of them, especially the tree huggers were blaming Pacific Gas and Electric for their power lines causing all the fires. And it just jerked me off no end, and I'll explain why. Let me shift here a little bit. And that is that PG&E used to clear a wide right-of-way, clear their right-of-way of all brush, trees, and everything, and seeded grass out there. So it was a meadow. The deer were out there all the time. The elk were out there all the time. And the tree huggers, oh, you're cutting down trees. You're impacting nature. Yeah, they were impacting nature. They were making it better for the deer, the elk, and the other animals. Well, so they had to stop cutting. And of course, it starts encroaching back in. And when you get trees and stuff in the right-of-way and the winds blow, you're getting more fires. So in a sense, any fire starting on PG&E property in the last 20 years is man-made on purpose by the green-loving tree huggers. Fact. I mean, that's been documented. But also, what happened to the last couple big ones in there? Guess who they were trying to blame? The power companies. Even the ones down in LA, they're trying to blame the power companies on it. And then they found, wait a minute, this was an arson. Somebody was out there setting fires. Hmm. So yeah, so there are a lot of arson fires out there on purpose. The next one here is their man-made mistake or accident, and that's the idiots out there driving around in their four-wheel drives with catalytic converters on, and their four-wheel drives are down low, driving through the grass, and oh wow, they're starting a fire. And Diggs Outdoors here, and Mark's here, Chef Tech, and Howie's here, Food for Permaculture. And so a lot of problems with people out there, and then they out there for their four-wheelers, their ATVs, their ETVs, their motorcycles and stuff with the improper exhaust on them, and that causes fires. Then you got the people out there camping who don't know anything about the proper ways to do camping. Sorry, just lost the outdoor code that they use in Boy Scouts and stuff. They don't know how to start it. They don't know the proper way of building a campfire. They don't know the proper way of putting out a campfire. They don't know throws. They don't know how to clean up after themselves, and they leave crap out there all the time. And for the longest time, broken bottles were a big cause of small fires because you get the nice glass bottles, and the sun hits that curved glass, and all of a sudden it's like a magnifying glass, and it catches stuff on fire. Well, we always kind of cured that a little bit by people switching from glass to plastic, the manufacturers, so they're not having any glass bottles out there. And now the plastics out there, it's not causing the same problem, but then they do stupid stuff with that. But that's a whole nother thing with the outdoor code about leave no trace and stuff like that. But you got man out there doing all this stupid stuff in the wild because, I want to get away from the city and go out and enjoy the wildness. Yet they go and turn the wildness into the trashy neighborhoods like that back at home. And so thanks, Howie, for reminding everybody, and for those that are lurking, please hit the thumbs up. Helps me out with YouTube's analytics. So there are lots of man-made mistakes, and campfires where they have a campfire. Oh, it's burnt down. It's out. No cold. Nothing's going on. They don't put water on it. They don't stir it around, dig it up, put dirt on it to put it out, and they just leave their campsite and they go on. Well, the wind picks up as it usually does, early mid-morning, and starts blowing across the coals, and all of a sudden the coals start sparking to life again, and little sparks and pops and stuff, and that gets carried by the wind outside the camping area where they've trampled all the weeds down and everything into the grass and stuff, and guess what? Another wildfire. Oh, you're just keeping up on the yeah, exactly. So man-made mistakes, man-made on purpose, cause a lot. Mother Nature has always been causing wildfires. I'm going to come back to a man-made mistake after I talk about Mother Nature because it links in this way. Mother Nature, lightning strikes. Yes, lightning strikes causes fires. What trees, I know Howie can answer this, what trees and plants need fire to propagate their seeds properly? Oak trees for one. Pine trees. The pine cones get they need the fire to get the pine cones to open up and spit the seeds out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Conifers, redwood. Oh, redwoods are the most um, unique fire trees there are out there. There, have you ever been worked with redwoods and stuff and looked at the bark? I mean, you got about, like, sometimes you'll have bark that friggin' thick on it. That's fire protection. And yeah, all their little pods and stuff need fire to pop open and spread the seeds and everything else. Mother Nature has this great plan. It's called "Let's burn everything off every year to get rid of the undesirable brush, burn the grass down, make meadows. You know, all those beautiful meadows that John Muir found and everything was writing about, and Ansel Adams took pictures of out there in the wild. That's because that area burnt every year and year after year, because that's how nature renews the area. And when you have a nice meadow, you have teeming wild wildlife everywhere. Yeah, Howie, you got a wrench? You can drop your link. Um, so hang on. So Howie says there was the latest news is that food forest at the local schools bulletin. This I was told why the food forest at the school. No, I was told no one wants to look at any contingent wants to look after it. They don't have to look after it. Mother Nature looks after a food forest. All right. So Mother Nature burns everything off. The Native Americans in Northern California learned this lesson, and they helped Mother Nature. Mount Tamalpais, one of the most beautiful little mountains in the San Francisco Bay Area. The Indians used to burn it off every year. In the fall, when the grass starts turning brown, burn it. Fog starts coming in before the big rainstorms does. New grass sprout starts coming up. By the time the rain comes in, it's the mustard seeds are already sprouted. It's already turning green again for the winter. So Mother Nature fire is Mother Nature's tool. Man comes in and man makes a friggin' big mistake. Oh no, these wildfires are destroying nature. We got to protect it. We got to put out all the fires as soon as they start. No, you let Mother Nature do her thing. Well, they started putting out the fires, and so guess what happened? The manzanita wasn't getting burnt off when it was little. The thistles and stuff weren't getting burnt off when they were little. The undergrowth started getting dense and dying out, and you get dead plant branches and stuff in there, more stuff growing up in it, and it's a regular gnat. You could no longer walk areas. So now they have all these areas that have never had anytime there's a wildfire, they stomp on it so fast that it doesn't burn down to where it's supposed to be burning down. Mother Nature's getting PO'd. And it just goes on and on like this. And it wasn't until a few years ago they realized, crap, maybe we need to be doing controlled burns, or maybe you ought to just let Mother Nature burn everything like she's supposed to do. But they were, so we get a lightning strike out there, and the firefighters can't get to it because of all the underbrush and stuff. And by the time they do get to it, it's out of hand. It's wild. I mean, it's just going hog wild, destroying everything. And it's not only is it burning all the underbrush and everything, but the underbrush fire is so hot, the trees, which used to shrug off the weeds and stuff burning off every year, can't shrug off this intense blaze of an underbrush fire. So what happens? They start burning. Their crowns start burning. Rather than it being a low fire just burning along low, it's now a huge fire burning everything down. And people are going, oh, we need to put out all the fires again. And you can't tell. Well, the reason this is going like this is because we followed your advice the last time, and we're putting out all the fires, and the undergrowth is burnt till it's uncontrollable. So, man-made, trying to prevent fires turned into man making stupid mistake and making a lot of wildfires more intense. So that's the fun part there. Now, mitigation, what can we do? Tell the Greenpeace tree hugging people to go take a long walk off a short pier carrying 50 pounds of weights chained to them. Yeah, Diggs. And so when you get the low fire going through there, it doesn't heat up the natural turpentine, but you get a big brush fire underneath there where it hasn't burnt for several years because, we got to put out the fires all the time. And when it goes in, that heats up the natural turpentine and conifers, and then they go, not only they go up like Roman candles, they explode too and send stuff, flying. So mitigation is you want to, if you're out in an area out of the suburbs and you're bordering the wildlands. Moon over Miami, welcome. What you need to do is you need to follow some simple things. On your property, keep the weeds down as if you were burning them off every year. Make sure they don't get growing high. Keep yourself in what's called defensible spaces between your home and the outbuildings you have and the property line. If you have pine trees, oak trees, and stuff like that, keep the grass trimmed down below it. 6 inches is fine. 6 inches is not a lot for grass. It'll burn. But the problem, it burns so fast and just goes across. Next thing, and you put water on. Next thing you know, in a couple of weeks, you got new sprouts coming up off the old roots. So you can build yourself a defensible area. You can mow it low, like grass and water all the time, or you can cut it up higher, like 6 inches or so, and you're just fine. Brush hogging it works just great. A couple times a year, keep it down low enough, and it works great. Yeah, move trees. I know having a tree next to the house has the benefit of, it shades the house so it doesn't get so hot in the summertime, and it kind of actually under an evergreen tree or oak tree, it actually keeps it warmer in the wintertime. But falling branches are a problem because sometimes winds blow and branches break off of healthy trees. But if you get a fire and that tree catches on fire from embers blowing in, you're gonna have problems. So you want to keep it away from it. What a lot of people did around in Contra Costa County and other counties, along the freeways, you got they'll have the barbed wire for where they got cattle run off there. They will disc a 20 to 40 foot wide path along that fence line separating the freeway system from their farmland. And some of the forestry areas, they'll run a mulcher through there to, you know, keep it from people's yards and stuff from burning into the forest area. And smart people do the same thing. They create a fire break on their side of the property. So now you have a really wide fire break to keep the fire from going either way. It's just good neighborly, good sense. And that way, if the Mother Nature burns in the national forest or the state forest and burns every year, it's not coming through your area because you guys both have fire breaks there to contain it, and you can maintain your property, mowing it or putting out goats or whatever on your and other things. That's the other thing. Goats used to be a big industry in California, because they bring goats in, and goats would just eat acreage down, and they just move them around. And then Governor Moonbeam, one of those green guys, decided, hey, we're gonna tax, heavily tax all the goats, all the goat owners for they're doing it, not the little tax they were getting. They taxed them out of existence. And all the companies that the state used to use to keep the weeds down said, they go, read between the lines. And they went out of business. So now the state's having to pay a lot more money to get mechanical crews out there with equipment and stuff to try to keep the area clear that the goats were doing for pennies on the dollar. All right, Howie, have a good night. And if you're going to plant a tree near the house that doesn't get huge, preferably one that it provides food, like nut trees or fruit trees, or if you're in a warm climate, citrus trees. All right. Mitigation. Other things we should be doing to take care of it. Well, as individuals, we just need to take care of our property, get our neighbors to take care of their property, show them videos of this is what happens when people don't take care of their property, and the wildfire goes and it burns even those that are. Mountain Survival, welcome. Now, I've shown videos and pictures before of different fire areas. Santa Rosa, the city of Santa Rosa. Hang on, let me, okay, we're going to get that in a second. Let me take this down for a second. Let me switch some things around here. Bring up this one. I'm going to show you some pictures here. Santa Rosa. Images. Actually, we're going to go back. So in Santa Rosa, in the city, in the neighborhoods, okay, housing tracts. Come on, get out of there. 2017 was one of the most destructive wildfires in California history, leveling entire neighborhoods in the city of Santa Rosa. Over 2,000 homes were destroyed. 2,000 homes in neighborhoods. Let's see. Okay, the fire devastated Coffee Park, Fountain Grove neighborhoods. In Coffee Park alone, 1,300 structures were leveled after the embers jumped over Highway 101. 22 people were killed in Sonoma County, where Santa Rosa's at, by the Tubbs fire. within Santa Rosa itself, 5% of the homes were destroyed. So, investigators say it was caused by a private person, not PG&E. I mean, everyone was screaming, PG&E caused it, PG&E caused it. No, they didn't. All right, so let me get to some images here and get ready to have your mind blown. Prepper for the Ages, welcome. Aiden here, welcome. Not here. None of them survived. Look at that. Total areas, houses burnt. The trees that were lush and green, some of them survived, not all of them. Just areas wiped out. You see most of the trees are mostly destroyed here. You can tell where the swimming pools were. This is just the one. There it is. No, that someone has their camera turned crooked that way. But yeah, it went through, and it just devastated areas, just burning things. Someone looks. So I show a picture like this, and someone goes, "Well, look at that tree. It's green." Yeah, but look at the bottoms of the trees. That's an oak tree. It's a little more fire resistant. But the ones over here, I mean, you can see very little green at the top where it burnt up into it. This tree here, right in the foreground, that one burnt totally. So firestorms are, just go through and destroy everything. So let me go back one here. And you see it burning down close to the neighborhood from the highway. I mean, yeah, they're trying to put this stuff out, and it's just, there's never been a fire there for 20, 30, 40 years because we keep, man kept stomping on it and putting it out. So yeah, Santa Rosa, next exit. All right, let me go back here. So yeah, there's the devastation from a firestorm is insane. Let me see here. Pick up here. All right, Montana has had some majorly big firestorms. Their biggest one was in 1910. They call it the Big Blow Up. And I froze again. They call it the Big Blow Up. Also known as, so is it, it's not showing what the other names over here. But basically, it burned, and it was just in the western portion of Montana, like a tenth of the state. And it burned over into Idaho and into Oregon and Washington. The finger of Idaho just burnt right on across into the states. $3 million acres. I'm going to say it again. 3 million acres. That's, well, let me see if I find it here. I don't see it here. Let me double check the other one here. Yeah, 4,700 square miles. 4,700 square miles burnt. 78 firefighters were killed. Whole towns were wiped out. Then, in 1988, Yellowstone had a fire, or had a series of fires, 800,000 acres. So that was about 1,000 square miles burnt. And after in what's called modern era here, I'm reading the stats here for you guys. 2017 was a big year in Montana. The Lodgepole Complex. They call it the Lodgepole Complex. So you have an incident command. I forget, having a brain fart. There's level 1, level 2, level 3, okay, 4. Complexes where they say, oh, we got fire here, fire here, fire here, fire here. We're going to make an instant command to cover all of those, and we're going to call it one, a complex. So that was the Lodgepole Complex. Now, going back, the big blow up of 1910 was a bunch of fires. Go on. Some were arson, some were man accidental, some were lightning strikes. All right. In 88, 800,000 acres burned. Oh, no, it's not. I already read that one. And so in 2017, the Lodgepole Complex is the largest single fire in the state history of Montana at that time, burning over 270 acres in just one of those fires, one of these of the complex, just one. The Alice Creek Fire of 2017 saw over 1 million acres burned in Montana, but that was a couple of them that burnt together into one. They started out as a couple smaller ones and burnt into one. So that wasn't a single fire. That was several that burnt into one, over 1 million. So you have 800,000, you have 1 million. The Bryce Ridge Fire, 160,000 acres. Yeah, so yeah, it just goes on and on and on. Other notable fires across the nation. In 1988, besides the Yellowstone fire, was the Canyon Creek Fire, burning 247,000 acres. And it crossed multiple national forests that were right next to it, burnt in through much of them. All right, so I covers that. I'm going to drop that down and come back up here. So mitigation is the big thing. Mother Nature's still going to start fires. Best mitigation we can do, if there was a fire there last year and it's burning in this year, let it burn. Do not put it out. Mother Nature knows what she's doing. Recovery. Education. Education is part both of mitigation and recovery. You need to educate homeowners living near wildlands. Vanessa Kitty, hey. You need to educate those living away from it. We need to educate everyone who might be using wildlands and teach them the proper way of building a fire, the maximum height for a campfire. I've camped up in up on the North Fork of the Stanislaus River up there in the forest up there. And at the come of the campgrounds, you have idiots in there building they extend their fire ring out, build a big old bonfire, and it's going 15, 20 feet in the air. It's looking at the branches. And you'll see people that know how camping, they're coming over buckets of water and putting it out on them. And, others are calling the rangers on fire department on them. And, they're getting, there's a couple times where I've seen them get hauled off, arrested for, endangering everybody. Not enough. Keep doing that. What is Cub Scouts? Learned in Cub Scouts, learned again in Boy Scouts, same lessons, different little patch or card. So education, you got to teach people, how high should the fire be? If you're standing next to it, should never be as high as your waist. Should be about knee height, maybe 6 inches up or down, but not as high as your waist. So not 3 feet high is too high. What woods are you using? You should be using woods that are common to the area, already dead, laying down dead, not cutting down a live tree because it's full of sap. A dead tree laying down, the sap's all gone, and it's not going to pop and spit and do all the nasty crap. So, yeah, education is one for mitigation and recovery, people recovering. Oh, all right, we got to recover. Yes, we are not going to be going in and replanting a lot of trees. A lot of trees are going to be cut down. If we have to cut down a tree, we'll replant a tree. We're not going to make it crowded like it was before. So if you're wondering why we're not planting 4,000 trees on an acre, well, because it can't support 4,000 trees, and it's going to take a while for them to grow. So people, for recovery, if your property is damaged by wildfire and you get an insurance check for it and they don't cancel your insurance, deem yourself very lucky. Or suddenly jack your prices, your rates up 20 times what it was. You need to take the proper steps in revitalizing your property so that it can survive a firestorm. I'm going to drop the link here in a minute. I got, let's see. So I'm going to go over this here. So again, 2017 in Montana, 1.3 million acres burned through the state of Montana. The 1910 shown over here was I'm going to make that big for you so you can read it good. 1910 was 3 million. So yeah, it's a third. Not third. It's more than a quarter. Oh, a little over a third, but not quite half as much. All right. Of course, there was, that year there was severe drought in the spring. And then there was high summer heat and winds. So the fire spread fast. So you got the Lodge Pole Complex, the largest in the nation, Lobo Peak, Bryce Ridge. Smoke blanketed the state and affected communities like Sealy, like blah, 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 blah. 141 structures were lost. 2 firefighters died. The cost of fighting for it was $400 million that year for the state of Montana. The end of the fire season, a significant snowstorm in mid-September, not in October or November, mid-September came in and helped extinguish many of the fires. So the highest note, so in 2017, across the nation, there were 71,499 fires. Total was over 10 million acres. Yeah. What caused it? Which one are you talking about, Mark? Are you talking about all these ones here? Some of them are caused by, if you took a percentage of it, man-caused, on purpose, accidental versus nature, there was more man-made accidental than there was nature causing. Some campers not putting out their fires properly, off-road vehicles with improper spark resistors on them, and catalytic converters too close into the grass, driving where they shouldn't have been driving out through a meadow, a browning meadow. You don't drive across a browning meadow. The tinderbox. Oh, they're saying that the severe drought created tinderbox conditions. In other words, the manzanita was all drying out, the grass was all dead, the trees didn't have enough moisture in them to keep their branches and leaves from going up. Then you had the tinderbox conditions then created high winds and stuff. Yeah. They shut off the water. Oh, that, yeah. But what started the fire? Like I said, what started the fires there? Because there were so many fires. Some, like I said, some were man-made campers. That a couple of them were arsonists, and so yeah. So there was the Palisades, California. Oh. Yeah, I talked a lot about that during that time on live streams. What was going on there? What was coming out? And some stuff I was talking about. Oh, that you don't know that. That's not what's happening. And then what happened? 2 weeks later, they came and say, "Yeah, this is what happened." So yeah, the Palisades. They shut some of the water off. I blame the great nuisance areas that they were. That's a whole conspiracy fact, not theory fact, conspiracy fact problem going on down there. All right. So yeah, one of the things you can do for mitigation, pay attention to who's getting the office and get people to petition them if they're, oh, we need to do this, thinking, oh, we need to get more fighters out there, so we put out all fires quicker, and we don't do controlled burns through people complaining to them in large numbers. Get writing campaigns going to get the guy going. Oh, maybe I better change my stance on this, and we better do controlled burns. Yes. So there are things that we need to do on it. She only got 15 minutes left here. All right. Some of the things. All right. So if you are living near or bordering wildland stuff where fires have happened before, if you're putting in a pool, you need to include pumps on that pool. Here he comes, the Christmas trash pan. You need to include for a pool pumps on it to be able to spray down your house. To have get yourself a 1-inch fire hose that you can hook up to the thing so you can help fight the fire around your house and wet areas down. Common sense. You need to plant fire-resistant vegetation. You need to keep areas clear. You need to, if you have grasses, you need to keep the grasses mowed and watered if you can. You need to keep plants and stuff away from the building. Don't plant all these highly flammable bushes up against your house and against your, if you have a detached garage, or if you have a barn for your tractor, whatever else, you don't plant, bushes and stuff around those. And like Mark's going to be doing on his place, which
I'm going to paint my roof blue.
Besides painting your roof blue, he's going to install a sprinkler system on his roof, so he can just turn it on and pump water up and
shoot water out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get a couple the big totes, keep them inside somewhere in a barn, whatever, where they don't freeze. Then leave them plumbed in. So, and I'll put a standpipe on the outside for the local fire department if they need it. They got it. They can run down to the river, but the river's shallow all the time, and getting water out of it, even with a hard suction, is you're going to get more air than anything else. So.
Yeah, there's, check with your local fire department about things you can do. 'Cause they'll give you pamphlets and booklets and everything else that, FEMA has pamphlets and booklets on it. The National Forest Service has pamphlets and book on it. The National Park Service has pamphlets and book on it. Your state your state Forest Service has pamphlets and books. Your local fire district should have pamphlets and books. So there's a lot of informational resources out there. I would have to go on for a couple hours, and I had spent the time to build a PowerPoint for you, showing you what you could do for your house, your defensive space on it. So there are things you should do for both mitigation beforehand, and if you never got around to it, for as part of your recovery afterwards, to make it so it doesn't happen again for your property. Also, get to know, if you're in an area that borders on wildlands and stuff, get to know your neighbors, talk to everybody. If somebody has a nice tractor with a big, batwing brush hog, that's one of those big mowers, and the batwing, it folds up when they're going down the street and it drops down, and all of a sudden it's like 25-foot wide swath they're cutting. Find out how much they charge to do, if you have acreage, to do yours. Find out who owns, if it's city owned, county owned, state owned, or federally owned land that you're bordering. Find out if you can get permission to mow the area and put in a fire break near your property. And then you get your neighbors to do the same thing. If you get a bunch of your neighbors and stuff and contact them, and it's National Forest, hey, can we get a fire break put in here? Or can we come in and do it ourselves with a rotavator and make several passes, or a forestry mulcher, rent one and put it in. 9 times out of 10, they're going to, if they have a person that doesn't have their head up their butts, they're going to say, yeah. They're going to give you approval, and they will send one of their people out there to keep an eye on it to make sure you don't accidentally start a fire while you're doing it. And sometimes that truck the person they sent out there will be in a big 4-wheel drive 2-ton truck that has a 700-gallon tank on it, just in case. But yeah, there are a lot of things you can do. Plan ahead. If you're going to be building a barn, make sure you run water out to it. If you're in an area where it gets freezing, make sure you bury your water line below the frost level by a foot or two, and put in what's called a yard hydrant. I did videos on it on Camp Patton when I installed them around the house across the street, and even what I did here around my on this property here around where the orchard is.
Farm hydrants, right?
Yeah, it's called a water hydrant. Yeah. And put those in. And hang on. I'm just going to show you guys here.
Leave a hose out there.
Okay, it's trying to go the other way. Oh, I know. Yard hydrant. That's why it's supposed to call yard hydrant.
Yard hydrant. Farm yard. That was close.
Yard hydrant. Frost free. Boom. Images. All right. These are yard hydrants. Here's an example how it works. It's the water lines down here below. The dotted line here is the frost line. It's buried below the frost line. And the valve is actually down here, not up here. This is a shaft that goes down, opens it up. When it closes it off, the water spits out the side here and drains this so the pipe doesn't freeze. Shows how the water comes out when you turn it off and drains it. And the ones I have here are...
Make sure you put gravel down there and not pack it with dirt.
And actually what works better than pea gravel, you dig down deep below it, a foot or so. You put some pea gravel down. You put some cobble, some drain rock down in there. Then you put pea gravel on top of that. Then when you get up to it, what some people do is they'll get a 5-gallon bucket. They will split it, open it up, put it around the pipe, put it down, tape it back closed, put a lid on it. We'll fill it full of drained rock, and then fill around it with pea gravel. And that way, and then they put filter fabric or weed blocker over the top of it, so when they backfill the dirt, it doesn't infiltrate into the rock.
Yeah, that way every time your hydrant you drain it and shut it off, it doesn't start creating like voids in the soil underneath, and then things start to fall.
And so depending on what your frost zone is, depends how deep it is. I got 4-foot bury ones here. So it's 4 foot of it is buried in the ground. The frost here is supposed to be 30 to 36 inches. I went deeper. There are other types. Are different. Gills are different than other types of hydrants. Now, there are different type out there. Also, let me do this one here. Dang, I forgot the Woodford. There it is. Yeah, Woodford hydrant. This is the Cadillac of hydrants. And there's Woodford, house, hose, bid. See if it shows that. Yeah. So these, if you're in a zone, you can put for your your house, you put these in, and like the other one, this one here will show this. The valve is down at this end here, and this is an 18-inch freeze. So basically, like I put in across the street, it goes through the foundation, goes into a foot or so into the basement before the pipe the pipe hooks onto it, and it drains. This is an air. I'm forgetting what it's called. It's an anti-siphon air release
vacuum breaker, backflow, whatever you want.
Yeah. So basically, when you turn this off, this allows air to go in, and it just drains. It drains the water out. Install those if you but if you put the yard hydrants around your barn, if you're putting in a decent barn, put one on each end, kitty corner from each other. I put one in out near the where the pig pen was. I got one out by the shop. I got one out on the other end of the orchard, and I got one more to put in wherever I want. Across the street, I put one in off the side of the house by the RV pad. I put one over by the chickens, the chicken coop. I put one on the side of the house on the far side of the garage from the house, and I put one out by my cargo containers out there.
See, around here, they have the shut-off valve, regular T-ball valve or rotary valve inside the house, but those valves have a cap drain on it. So you shut it off, you open up this little tiny brass cap, and you let all the water dribble out for the winter. Yeah. And then put the cap back on. You're good in the summertime. You just got to turn your water back on and blow the air out of it.
I wasn't sure how all these work, so when I put them all in the basement, I put double ball valves so I could shut the water off going to it, and I could open up another one and drain it out. And and that way it would just relieve pressure too. So if it starts to freeze, it would push. It wasn't under pressure, so the water could move a little bit. But that's some of the things. Is having a water supply. You can buy IBC totes, 275 gallon or 330 gallon ones, and you can store water. Collect rainwater and store it for emergencies, for a number of things, for emergency, for the garden. If all of a sudden things are really bad, or for firefighting, put a small garden hose transfer pump on it. And those transfer pumps will do like 90 psi, so you can really get a good stream out of your garden hose. So there are a lot of things you can do to think about like I said, get those pamphlets from your local government agencies, or check with FEMA or the National Forest Service and see about getting, that's, the information how to fireproof your land to protect you from it, and give the information to your neighbors. If you already can I order some for my neighbors too? This is their address, and that way they get it, fire protection, and tell them you ordered it for them, so it's coming to them free, and then they'll go, oh, free, okay. But yeah, there are things you can do to get prepared for it, because if we, it could happen, a firestorm really bad that they can't get the jump on. And if you've ever been in Southern California when the Santa Ana winds pick up, if you get a fire going in the Santa Ana winds, it's going to make the Palisades fire look like a Girl Scout campout. Because once the fire
don't bash the Girl Scouts. It's not their fault they don't know how to build campfires. That's why they have campfire girls.
No, I'm saying the Girl Scouts have to have little campfires. They don't have big, massive, idiot, stupid ones like boys do sometimes. And it'll just go through, you get a firestorm going like, happened up in Santa Rosa there. They did not have the high winds that they do in Southern California with the Santa Anas. Oregon, in the last couple of weeks, has had 50-mile-an-hour winds. We here had sustained 35-mile-an-hour winds with 50-mile-an-hour gusts several days here. Fortunately, we had snow and rain and everything beforehand, so there ain't nothing to burn here right now. We're not going to get a wildfire going. But you get stuff like Oklahoma burns. Did Hardneck Farms come in tonight? She talks about it all the time. She posts on Facebook as soon as there's a no burn up. She puts out the thing. These are the areas no burn, so that everybody that she knows in Oklahoma can start spreading it around to get the idiots to stop burning. Montana used to burn grass fires all the time until they started putting them out. North and South Dakota, Wyoming, Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, they all used to burn all the time. And it was buffalo grass that burnt. That buffalo grass would burn off. 10 days later, they had big shoots coming up, because buffalo grass is one of those plants that needs to burn. And it shoots up and it starts putting out seeds and doing all sorts of fun stuff. Wasn't that about the period of time that the campfires started? The campfire, not a camping fire. There was one called campfire. I believe it was the year my youngest son was going to try to join the Conservation Corps for California, and their training camp got burnt. Because the fire started elsewhere and that area was kept clean, and it went right through it. So firestorms are incredible. They create their own tornadoes. They create their own winds. So, all right, folks, we're going to wrap it up here, but let me give you real quick here. Coming up here Monday on Camp Patton Family Compound is, let me get the right, okay, Monday is best ways to store your harvest. So we'll be talking canning, freeze drying, dehydrating, blanching, and freezing. We'll have a lot of things we're going to be talking on. Tuesday, if I go live on Tuesday here in Gray Man Prepping, it's going to be winter hiking safety. Because 'tis the season and it's getting worse here. So we're going to talk about winter hiking safety. New Year's Day, for the midnight ride, we'll have a year-end wrap-up and talk about plans for 2026. Next Saturday here, After the nuclear power plant explodes, what are your plans?
Melt.
Meltdown and then explodes. It kicks out radioactive stuff. So we're going to talk about that's going to be because that's what several of the guys are talking. Oh, the nuclear power plants are going to explode if this happens or if that happens. If there's an EMP, the power plants are going to explode. So we're going to like Mark started saying there, it's just going to melt down. It's not going to explode. But we're going to talk about all the aspects of it, and we're going to put some of the fear porn to rest. Hopefully next Saturday. All right, everyone. Thanks for coming in, and we'll see you. Hopefully, we'll see you Monday for Monday Night Fireside Chat. Take care.
Have a good night.